would argue that black people have less opportunities in America. I do not agree with that.
First of all, you're a light-skinned woman.
And so are you.
Hey, I'm light-skinned.
Yes.
And you're doing great.
Yes, and so colorism really does serve us.
Why do you think that is, though? Do you think it's just based off the color of our skin, or do you think it's based off the reputation that black people make for themselves? Let's look at music, for example. Most of the music that is, let's say, maybe exalted or shown by the media, right?
And who controls those systems?
It defiles black Americans. But who's putting it out there? We are. Black Americans. We're the ones putting it out there.
The distribution systems that are putting them out there are owned by white people.
Who listens to them? Most of my black friends that are not conservative, they listen to that music that defiles their bodies.
You know
that
who
talks
else
about
black
on black crime, and
everybody else. We have to understand that the media is king.
And media does not favor conservatism. I can tell you that.
Depending on who is in office, media does favor them.
We have Trump in office right now, and media is not favoring Trump at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to cover some other points that I think Amanda Seales lost in the debate and how she defended her point.
So I think I'm coming from a place, and I guess my issue is having had my biological father murdered by a black man, having had my cousin shot in the head by a black man. We can talk numbers and statistics and what the people are doing and what the white man is doing and all that, but at the end of the day, I see when my family lives on the south side of Chicago, and I think you and I both can attest to this, and I'm not saying that there are not other factors, but we know that we kill each other at a disproportionate rate than any other race.
You cannot debate somebody that doesn't want to debate. You cannot talk to somebody that doesn't want to believe in statistics, and you cannot talk to somebody that doesn't agree with your lived experience, and you're not allowed to talk about your anecdotal experience. There's so many things against you. It makes no sense.
Now, why we do that and why 6,000 to 9,000 black men are going to be homicided or killed or whatever by the end of the year annually by other black men, whereas the likelihood of a black man being killed by a white police officer is less than 150 per year, we know that we kill each other at a higher rate. So I'm not debating that there are not factors at play, but because I've lived the experience as a black woman losing my father to be murdered by a black man walking down the street.
I'm sorry to hear that, by the way.
No worries, thank you. But walking down the street in inner cities and different things, knowing that it's more likely that my own brother will rob and rape me than a white man or a white officer, we got to be real.
What's your proximity to white men in the south side of Chicago? Are there even white men around to rob and rape you at the same rate that there are black men?
There are white men around.
At the same rate?
There wasn't a lot of black people in there, but then that doesn't justify the fact that we're destroying each other. So even if we get to the root, like
we can agree on that,
okay,
sis.
because I feel like a lot of times liberals will argue like, well,
I'm not a liberal.
I am not a liberal.
If it quacks like a dog, it's a dog. If it quacks like a liberal, it's a liberal. If it quacks like a dog and is a liberal, it's a liberal dog. It's very simple. And how do you gain power? By saying you're not a liberal dog and go to a debate saying that you don't want to debate because you already think you're right.
Okay, well, I will say that people that sometimes have your stance that are against conservatives, maybe they have this claim that they're making it up, they're making up the numbers. We know that we do that to each other. So I want to get to the root of the issue. Why are we killing each other? I think the root of the issue is we've lost our values and we've lost our resilience as black people. We sit there and we talk about what the white man did and we talk about slavery and everything like that, but we have no self-accountability and say, you know what, at the end of the day, that is my black grandmother, that is my black sister, you are my black sister, and you know that a black man is more likely to rob you or commit some type of crime against you, and that's what we need to get down to the issue of. And like you were talking about earlier, like, hey, well, what's going on? You know, what do you think the answer is to one of the brothers that were speaking? I think it's the breakdown of the family.
The way they destroy the black family is by making them less accountable by certain reasons and made it easier for them to be celebrated if they made certain decisions. For example, welfare. You made the wife marry the government, call out all the bad men in a time most black women were married. And then you have Planned Parenthood. You help them to plan the parenthood. But then you find out the white people that started that didn't want them to plan a parenthood because that would actually mean more votes because they were making more babies. But you don't want to talk about that. Remember to subscribe.
I think, like he said, because of our poor choices, and what happens is we look at domestic violence, for example. When domestic violence, women or men are even attacked, what is the first thing we say? It's like, you know what? It's not your what? It's not your fault. So that's what we do. We hold on to this narrative that, well, it's not our fault, and the issues in our community are not our fault, and the white man needs to give us something. The old white lady down the street is looking at me, and I don't know why she got braids in her hair. And we focus on all these other stupid things that don't matter. We don't get to the root of the fact that we're killing each other at a higher rate than any other race. It is self-hatred amongst us. I believe that we can do that. my cousin, my mom's cousin, excuse me, coming from the church parking lot, and guess who stuck her up and robbed her at gunpoint? A black man.
I need you to get to the point.
Like,
so
my
I can
point
respond.
is that, and I'm not trying to be funny, unless, like you said, we're going to keep it respectful.
Yeah, but you're monopolizing the whole conversation.
I'm
We're
not
not
trying,
being
okay, I'm
able
going to let
to...
you speak. But
If I have to be honest, if I was this lady and I was talking to Amanda Seals and I was explaining to her how many times her side would say it's not your fault, and you made that face, that would be so disrespectful. So disrespectful, because it was like, who says this? I didn't say it. What are you talking about? You crazy. That's what you said to me with that eye gesture. And if I responded a little more aggressive, you would say, oh my God, you're the aggressive one. But people don't see sometimes how certain people speak so aggressively with their reaction to so disrespectful, because they are the ones saying something and they deny it. I call that gaslighting.
Look at rap. Look at what we're glorifying.
You're right.
We're glorifying violence.
Who's we? Wait, who's we? Who's we? Who's
the black community.
Who controls the
black community.
Who controls the distribution of these sources of media?
And who takes it in? And who takes it in?
Listen, if you're okay, so let me put it in this context. If I have a company, right, and you guys are my employees, and I determine what you get to eat every day, that's also going to determine how you exist in this company, right? Like if you come to work and I say the only thing you can eat is processed foods and fried foods, and you're not going to get to have the best vegetables, etc. What's that going to affect? Your health. That's going to affect your ability to operate, etc. This is how the United States operates. There's a lot of us that don't want to admit that as much as accountable as we want to be, all of our brains also don't operate the same way. Some of us are much more apt to be indoctrinated than others. That's a fact. There's a 1% of people that knows this. There's a whole show called Mad Men that's about advertising, etc. And if we don't acknowledge multiple things at the same time, then we simply cannot stop.
I agree with her about the music. They're using music to promote, to make us excited, so it is what it is. But then at the same time, when I want to point out about the multi-factor things on the other side, you don't want to accept it. When I point out, hey, maybe that is wrong, bada bing boom bash, you're going to say it is part of the subculture. It's how we feel empowered. And I'm like, okay, so you use the negative thing to feel empowered, but you don't try to change the negative thing because now it's culture.
We can be as accountable as we want to be. And I hope that if you're right, because I hope you're right, I wish that it was a situation where if black people could just be accountable, then nothing else would matter. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case, because we have seen when we have Black Wall Street in Tulsa and we have Black Wall Street in Durham, that when we actually do hold our own and build our own communities, they will still come and run it down.
I'm not going to deny that in the past bad things happened and people actually misused the opportunity to prove to black people they were better than them. It did exist. The issue that I have right now in many black communities is that certain ways to go forward, it's so different to what empowers them that if you try to empower them, you are seen as a totally different person.
By now, many of y'all have seen my episode of Surrounded, one black radical surrounded by 20 black conservatives. And I know everybody who watched it has many thoughts. Someone in the comments did say, wow, it's a shock that Amanda Seals didn't know how to debate. And at first I was offended by that. And I was like, what video did you watch? And then I actually watched the whole video last night with the SEAL Squad. And I realized, oh yeah, I'm not debating.
She didn't go there to talk to you. She go there to have a one-way street. You had to listen and be wrong. Especially when most people that were there were younger than her. That kind of offended her.
And the irony about this was that it's not that I didn't know how to debate. It's that I just chose not to debate. Because the claims that I stated are not up for debate. Reparations are deserved for everyone who is the descendant of chattel slavery, as well as a number of other injustices, particularly in the United States, that have been supplanted upon black Americans. Black on black crime is not real. It's a concept that was created to further the ideology that black people are somehow less civil, that we are savage, that we are less human, and thus require more policing, needing to be sequestered. The continued proliferation of black on black crime as an actual real concept is actually black on black crime.
But because I've lived the experience as a black woman, losing my father to be murdered by a black man walking down the street.
I'm sorry to hear that, by the way.
No worries. Thank you.
You feel sorry for a person that lost a father. But if they use statistic, black on black crime. If they use anecdotal experience, black on black crime. And then you want me to believe that you're really sorry? You're just an emotional activist.
It is the weaponizing of black people against black people. Systemic racism is not up for debate. It is what it is. And lastly, no, Black conservatism does not make any concessions or room or care for the working class. Actually, the concept of Black conservatives is literally an oxymoron. When I walked into that room and I saw the people that were there and how many of them were young people, I didn't want to debate them. And I was dealing with people who are deeply affected by indoctrination and by self-hatred. I wanted to show them the ways in which they had been misled to being able to show up for themselves and for their people. And of course, they're only a portion of this project. The true audience is not who you're debating, but who's watching and trying to get information and concepts to them that are being actively impeded. And that felt far more valuable than just being right.
I don't understand somebody that wants to leave a good message when at the same time you went to a debate without trying to debate. Don't you see what people are seeing? Didn't you see that you're putting conservative together and everybody that had to make a choice is going to choose more conservative because there was more there, and you didn't even provide a talking point, a debate point. You provided a feeling that they need to follow. And maybe that's why the next two conservatives that have a YouTube channel, I believe, for TikTok, are going to talk about what they perceived about you, and they respect you professionally. But morally, what you want to change in the Black community, they totally disagree. And people can see the hypocrisy and the gaslighting and the shifting that you did.
In my Amanda Seal debate, she was the worst Jubilee surprise guest probably that they had. She was the stereotypical Black woman. She was angry. She was nasty. She threatened to have people removed off. There was one Black conservative who's known who was removed because she yelled at people. Several times she threatened, about 5 or 6 times. She was a diva. 6 or 7 times she threatened to leave. Now, I'm thankful for the opportunity, thankful for getting to sit down with her. I respect her for what she's accomplished. But as a person, I have no respect for her. She was very disrespectful to me because I believe I destroyed her in my first, to start off, and she didn't want to talk to me again. And I wouldn't want to talk to me because she can't beat me in a debate. A real debate where she's not yelling, she could not beat me because the facts are on my side. I don't care how much they lie and try to act like they aren't. I love Black people and I love myself. But, you know, if you're Black and you have a difference in opinion in the Black community, you don't love yourself, and you're, because we're the only race that can't have. But that's the truth. She was the worst Jubilee guest celebrity person there was, and none of the Black conservatives liked her at the end. Like Candace Owens, Jordan Peterson, all the conservative, respectful. They treated other people's opinion with respect, not her.
So this is me on the episode of Jubilee, 20 Black conservatives versus 1 Black radical, featuring Amanda Seales. Now, a lot of y'all are asking me, hey, ABL, how was your experience? How was Amanda Seales? All this, that, and the third. First things first, shout out to Jubilee. They're very, very professional. We shot this back in June of this year, 2025, in Los Angeles. So it was a Hollywood style environment, and it was very well choreographed as far as the format. But what was not choreographed was our responses. Whatever you heard came straight from us. There was no coaching from Jubilee at all. And shout out to everybody who I met when I was there. Very, very impressive. That was the highlight for me. Everybody who I met, all the conservatives, because 10 years ago, this wouldn't have been a thing. This many of us on TV getting exposure, it wouldn't have been a thing. And it most certainly was unheard of back in 2002 when I was 18 years old. So shout out to everybody who I met when I was there. Amazing. Now, Amanda Seales, what was my experience like with her? First thing first, let's go back. She was actually a child star on Nickelodeon, if you didn't know, and her moniker back then was Amanda Diva. And when she came into this set, I saw some of the diva energy immediately. First of all, you got a big, huge security guard. I'm 6'3". This guy is way above me, dwarfing me. And she had like a cup of coffee and an iPad for some reason. We could not have our phones, but she had an iPad. I don't understand why. But I saw the diva energy immediately. And her tactic throughout the entire time was, if she got back into a corner and they got a little bit heated, with the back and forth, she would threaten to leave. She was doing that at the very beginning. If you saw the clip, she was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. So right then, she was trying to set boundaries to say, okay, don't interrupt me, don't cut me off. But she would cut you off and interrupt you, and it'd be totally fine. So it was hypocritical. Also, there was a point where she was trying to say, oh, well, since you're an immigrant or the son of immigrants, you can't speak on Black American issues. Meanwhile, her mom is from Grenada. So it was like, you're the exact thing you're trying to say can't talk about Black American issues, yet here you are talking about Black American issues. And then back to the whole diva thing. The reason why they probably call her a radical versus a liberal is because she probably requested that. There were certain times where we would say, well, we as conservatives don't do what you guys do over there on the left. I'm not a leftist. I'm not a liberal. It's like, okay, whatever you want to call it. Radical, leftist, liberal, all the same thing. You're talking about Gaza, trying to help them. We don't care about that. We care about us here in the US of A. So she wasn't a terrible person. I tried to be nice and have some kind of decent communication with her. I gave her a fist bump at one point. So she wasn't terrible, but just being able to talk to her and having conversations about these kind of things, it was pretty insufferable. But I hope y'all enjoyed it.
I'm just happy that she went to a debate, but for some odd reason she didn't want to debate. But she did put a bunch of Black conservatives together, young conservative, and people can be like, there is another choice. That's it.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde, kush, hash, purple, skunk, criollo, colombici, jam, jam, durlo, que ta, verdetta, welcome.